What's going on, everyone? Marty here at Pie Extreme, and welcome back to the channel for another video. In this week's video, I'm answering a very important question. Are trekking poles for old people? If you're new to the channel, my name is Marty, and if you're like me and you love everything about the outdoors, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so that you are notified every time new content is released. Also, if you didn't get your hand on my free backpacking gear checklist, go on to pireextreme.com. I'll leave a link in the description below, and make sure to get your hand on my free backpacking gear checklist. All right, guys, so every time I go on a backpacking trip or on a day hike with someone that's just starting out, as soon as they see me come out of the car, whip out my trekking poles, the question comes out every time: why do you hike with trekking poles, right? And also, in the comments of my Backpacking for Beginner series, which if you haven't checked that out already, I'll leave it in the cards up here. It's literally a series for beginner backpacker where I give you a blueprint, a step-by-step for you to follow so that you are successful on your first backpacking trip. In the comments of that series, I've also had someone asking me, as a new backpacker, why do you recommend hiking with hiking poles? So today, I'm going to give you guys two reasons. I'm sure there's more, but two major reasons why I believe you need to start hiking with trekking poles. Reason number one why you should be hiking and backpacking with trekking pole is simply for weight distribution. Now, if you didn't know that already, breaking news: hiking and backpacking is for sure a lower body exercise where your legs and your hips will take most of the burden during this exercise. But having trekking poles in your hands allows you to easily shift 15 to, anywhere between 25 to 30% of the weight that you're carrying on your back, or even your upper weight, into your arms, making this a full body exercise now and allowing you to literally use your upper body to help you trek along on the trail, and especially if you're going on a hilly terrain, because going uphill you'll be able to attack the mountain with the trekking poles and help you with your upper body, or if you have to go over ledges or anything like this, to really help you with your upper body and hoist yourself up on the trail. And same thing goes for the downhill, where you can put your poles in front of you and absorb some of that shock with your upper body rather than only it being with your legs. It is a game changer, and especially if you're just starting out backpacking, more than likely you didn't spend thousands of dollars on all of your gear, and your gear is not super lightweight, so you're going to be carrying a heavy load on your back, and being able to transfer some of that load in your poles will help you go farther and will help you go for much longer than you ever thought you could. Also, if you like to backpack in the wintertime like I do, this is where I do most of my backpacking. Honestly, I don't think I could go and do all of the mountains that I do in the wintertime without trekking poles, because I end up carrying, no joke, anywhere between 45 to 50 pounds on my back with my food and my water at all time, because winter backpacking requires so much more gear, and the gear is just that much heavier. And honestly, without my trekking poles, I don't think I would be able to basically climb all of these mountains. They're an essential tool to my backpacking, and even if I just go hiking, I also always have them. Also, another thing that having trekking poles will do in shifting that weight into your upper body, it's really gonna save your knees and your hips for the long haul. Now, going uphill or on the flat, it won't do much for you, but the downhill is really high impact, especially if you're carrying a heavy load on your back. And being able to use your poles ahead of you to really absorb some of the shock will really reduce the impact that you're constantly getting into your knees and into your hips, especially when you're carrying heavy gear. And honestly, that reason alone should be the only reason that you need to make sure that you go on your next backpacking or your next hiking trip with trekking poles. Reason number two why you should be hiking and backpacking with trekking poles is simply for stability. Now, if you're going on hiking trips or backpacking trips on simple terrains where it's flat, the trail is groomed, it's nice and even, this might not sound very interesting to you. But if you go out in more technical terrain where it's really hilly, and sometimes it's going to be extremely rocky, or there's going to be a ton of roots coming up and ledges and even even water crossing, having trekking poles is literally having a second set of feet on the ground for you. It provides you so much stability to be able to travel on a rocky terrain, for example, where you got to go rock to rock, or if you have to do a water crossing and you have a couple of rocks sticking out of the creek and you just got to kind of hop from rock to rock. Having those trekking poles is super useful to ensure that you don't fall into the water or that you don't twist your ankles, because you can really stabilize yourself before taking your step. And if you have a heavy pack on your back, it really provides stability. And again, to go back with my winter backpacking experience, some of the terrains that we go through to be able to hike some of these mountains without trekking poles, I don't know how I would do it, because I literally use my trekking poles to anchor myself into the mountain in front of me sometimes, just to haul myself up, because it's so steep sometimes that our heels are not even touching the ground. We're just literally anchored with our snowshoes or with our ice crampons right into the mountain face. And the trekking poles really helps us basically add some stability, and especially if we're carrying heavy loads on our back. It'll also really be helpful if you have weaker ankles or weaker knees from prior injuries. So if you're prone to twisting your ankle, having your trekking poles really gives you that extra stability, and it won't prevent at 100%, but it'll certainly help you not twist your ankle or injure your knee as you move forward, because of that extra support that you have with those trekking poles. And those are the only two reasons I believe I need to give you to make sure that you bring trekking poles next time you go backpacking or hiking. Let me know in the comments below if you already hike with trekking poles, and if you don't, let me know why. I would love to hear about that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, guys, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you are notified every time new content is released. Also, make sure to get your hand on my free backpacking gear checklist over at PyreXtreme.com. The link is in the description. It's free, it's for you, and I will see you guys on the next one.